When you think about just the processes and in the recruiting process and in the hiring process, what are some things that you can think about that would, help a company modernize their process?
Absolutely. So there are some real things that help with that, right? So the first one is the applicant tracking system itself, right? Is it user friendly enough for all people to be able to access, utilize, and get the best efforts out of? Something else that you would really want to consider before you even get to that point is your D&I strategy overall, right? So before you go to the up to plate to bat for any recruitment of diverse candidates as a strategy, you really should consider what is our goal in this, right? Are there numbers that we're looking to reach? What is our overall long haul goal for having diversity in our company? Do we have the infrastructure to support minorities and people of color, women, people with disabilities in our organization, right? And if you don't have it, even if you recruit all the diverse candidates you're looking to have, you're not going to keep them. So the organization has to be ready to respond to having diverse candidates actively participating in the workplace. And this is not just about we hired you. It's about, have you created affinity groups? Have you created opportunities for them to develop professionally? Have you built in coaches and mentors for them? Have you built in training plans that really do help them succeed in their role? And if you haven't done these things, you are going to continuously struggle with recruiting and retaining your diverse talent.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great, really kind of holistic view of kind of the talent ecosystem. Really,
Mm-hmm.
when I think about this, some of the things that I think about that companies need to get really good at on the front end with the recruiting process is making sure that screening and interviewers are really qualified and able to evaluate talent in that process, and then getting the hiring managers and the leaders as well as the recruiting team involved in some of those debriefs um, from a consultative perspective from the recruiter's point of view. And some of that starts with just role clarity. I think that a company needs to use tools to help them when it comes to prioritizing what the role responsibilities are. There has to be that clarity, right? If this is one of the things that will help everyone along in the process, and it's identifying the must-haves for those roles, using some kind of thing like a multi-criteria decision-making model. I use one specifically. It's called the analytical hierarchy process, and it's good for about 10 different criteria. But beyond 10, you probably need to go to something else. But this is a model that allows you to prioritize and make sure that your selections on the priorities are consistent. Being able to share those must-haves will help you better evaluate and better assess the candidates. And because where candidates typically miss out, especially with diverse hiring, is it's the nice to haves that usually knock the candidates out if you're bringing
Yep.
people in. And so,
Yep.
um,
Yeah, that is absolutely the case. And that's a really good point, Cody, because one of the things that you consider is when you have a panel, or even if it's just a one-on-one hiring process, when you have diverse candidates, if the people who are screening, the people who are interviewing are looking to say, I'm going to check every single box, they're not going to ever find a candidate, right? And then that severely limits the amount of diverse candidates you can bring in, saying that you are holding them perhaps to a different standard. I think another thing this brings up when we start sourcing or screening for diverse candidates is, are the people who are doing the interviewing trained on bias and unbiased, not unbiased conscience, right? Unconscious bias, I'm sorry.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
if they're not, right, you now have someone who is already tilting the table against your diverse candidates in the interviewing process. So that's really something that you should consider if you're looking to have a diverse candidate pipeline long term.